Hi there. I'm going to do a fairly short talk again on the subject of panic attacks, because of all the areas of anxiety, the subject of anxiety that cause the most confusion and obviously give people the most grief it's to do with panic attacks, because people A, don't fully understand them, and B, don't fully understand what they need to do to be rid of them. And I've already done a couple of videos on the subject where I've talked about what happened to me, and about also what to do when you're actually experiencing one. But people find it extraordinary that what I described in terms of how panic stopped with me, as it did in 2010, they still find it very hard to believe that that was actually what happened. Now, it's not just me that's had this experience. I mean, I've made reference several times to Jeffrey Holmes's book, The Panic Switch, because he describes there how panic stopped for him. And I have to say that this, what he describes is for real. It's exactly what happens if you do it the right way. And people have all kinds of incredible ideas as to what they think panic can do to them. They have all sorts of horrible visions of what a panic attack might actually end up doing to them, and even so much as killing them. They think panic is capable of that. I mean, I've said this on other videos, but one thing that has to be made very clear is that a panic attack is a protective device. It's what your body does in an emergency. It sends your body, your nervous system sends your body into overdrive to deal with a very serious danger, a very serious threat. And that's why all the physical changes that you get in a panic attack occur. It's preparing your body for an emergency. Now, because it is a protective device, there is no way it can harm you. It's there to save life, save you, so protect you from danger. So how could it possibly harm you? That's not what it's for. So this is one thing that people need to really get clear in their minds. If they suffer from panic attacks, it's not going to hurt them. It's not going to harm them in any way. Now, I talked about my own specific fear of why panic attacks suddenly came back into my life. It's because I feared that it was going to make me vomit. And all the years prior to that, I had a misguided idea of what a panic attack was. I thought I knew what it was, but when it came back again with this nausea element, then I worked out that that was part of the panic. And for that reason, I began to fear it. And every time I felt panic coming back, I thought, oh God, supposing it makes me vomit. I mean, this was just my particular fear, which might sound a bit stupid, but that's how it was with me. However, when I finally did get to that point, after 7 years of continuous panic attacks, I finally reached that point when I did what Jeffrey Holmes suggested and totally faced this thing that was happening, and totally demanded that it do anything to me. It was the totality of what I was telling panic to do that was the key. Even if it was going to kill me, it was me or it. It was a case of me or it. And I said, well, in my angry state as I was at the time, I said, go ahead, do whatever. I don't care anymore. I just want this to end. And it was this all or nothing, go for broke attitude that finally saw panic end. And when it did end, in a way it fizzled out when I did that. And from that point on, I didn't fear panic again, not for its own sake. Now, I will admit, and I have said so in my videos, I still do get the occasional panic, but it's always in response to something else. You could say it's really just a strong fear. Panic I tend to think of panic as being the panic disorder, where somebody is in a fear cycle over panic, where they're afraid of panic for its own sake. But for me, that's the thing of the past, because I still get these panics. Like, for example, when my dizziness gets bad, if it gets really bad, that can provoke it, and I talked about that on one of my earlier videos. So this is what disappears, is your fear of it. When you see what total facing does to it, how it can kill it stone dead in a couple of minutes, that experience when it happens is something that will stay with you. So it's people think they understand the principle, they understand the process, they think they do, but it has to be done right. It has to be done the right way, or it doesn't work. If you place any conditions on what you want, what you tell the panic to do, any conditions at all, then it still says to your nervous system that you're still afraid of it. If you go the whole way and think, right, just do anything, it has the remarkable effect of switching it off. And this is what Jeffrey Holmes says in his book. It is like a switch. What you're doing by this total resignation to whatever panic does, it's like you are throwing a switch. You're turning a switch in your brain which switches the panic off. And I've had numerous conversations with people on forums and emails, and trying very hard to get them to see this. It's I spent too many years being envious of Jeffrey Holmes because he'd done it. I mean, it made perfect sense to me what he said, but because of the nature of how panic was for me, I just couldn't ever see myself doing it, because I thought if I did that, if I actually said go ahead and do anything, that panic actually would do anything. And in my case, I feared it would actually make me sick, make me vomit. Whereas in fact, it was the exact opposite. I was prepared for that to happen. The worst thing that I feared panic would do, I was prepared for it. Really prepared. But it didn't happen. It just didn't happen. So it was really just something that I created in my mind over a period of years. And it kept me trapped in the panic cycle, because I would not face that last bit. I was prepared for a lot of things from panic, but that last thing that was holding me back, and the day I said, yes, go ahead, and meaning it, I really meant it, the panic died away. So I try very hard to explain this to people, that's what you need to do, and it's still met with a certain amount of disbelief. And also, like I said, people think, no, that's fine, you can do it, other people can do it, I can't do it, my panic's just too bad. Well, I was like that, I was exactly like that. And I went all those years thinking it was impossible for me to do it, but I did it anyway. And I got so angry and disgusted and fed up with it on that day where I saw it fizzle out. I was so amazed, just astounded at what had actually happened. So if you're caught in this horrible cycle of panic attacks, and I know for some people that is so bad they can't even leave their own house, please believe me when I say that this is something anyone who suffers from panic attacks can do. Anyone, however bad the panic is, and believe me, I've had some horrible panic attacks in my time, really, really horrible ones. However nasty they are, however intense they are, or however they manifest themselves in you, and everybody is slightly different. Regardless, you can still do this. It's kind of built into our physiology. It's it is like a switch. That's the best way to describe it. It is like a switch, and you can just decide to switch it off, and the way I've just described is how you switch it off. Anyway, I just wanted to just reinforce this idea, because it grieves me that so many people live under the shadow of panic, and so many people's lives are just wrecked by it. And I know the profound effect it had on my life, and all the things that I couldn't do because I was so terrified of getting panic attacks. And this is a proven way to have panic gone from your life. I mean, you can still be like me, where if you get a fright for some other reason, you can still get panic, but it's totally different from living your life in fear of the panic. That is a miserable existence. So if you haven't already done so, I would urge you to get hold of a copy of The Panic Switch. Jeffrey Hammes, Hammes, wrote it, and it's a fantastic book, because he explains everything very clearly, and he tells how it worked for him and what you need to do. So anyway, this is just a kind of a refresher on panic, if you like, and just to reassure you that there is, this way does work. Anyway, I won't go on too long, so please give it a try. And when it happens to you, and if you keep on long enough, it will happen to you. When that day comes and you see panic die like that, it'll be the most incredible experience you've ever had. Believe me, it was for me. It was absolutely unbelievable. So think ahead and think that is what you can do. That's what anyone can do. And when you do it, you'll be free. Anyway, before my voice gives out completely, I'll leave it at that. And please ask me any questions, or if you want any clarification on this, please get in touch with me by all means. But for now, thank you as ever for watching, and bye for now.